Hello guys and welcome back. My name is Liza McCarthy.
And I'm so excited to see you here. So I just wanted to say that I will be expanding my content, and not only will I be working on a lot of art videos for summer with mermaids, fan arts, and so much more, but I will also be doing ranking videos. So they're just like filler videos, but they're not really filler videos. They're just kind of to show you guys my opinion and give an opinion on something that I just thought I could rank for fun, So if you enjoy this, please do watch this video and support me, because this means the world to me. Also, please do check out my podcast, Digital Struggles, on Spotify. I have countless interesting topics that I talk to you guys about.
There is a huge variety of topics discussed, new cover art, basically a rebranding and me being more diverse and kind of shifting from art-related topics to anything and everything possible. So please do check it out. Link is in the description below.
Let's continue with today's video.
It is basically me ranking all movie and book tropes. I did that live on my podcast, but in today's video, we're gonna get started by ranking movie and book tropes basically. So we are going to get started. Okay, so the first one we have is Bad Boy, Good Girl. So Bad Boy and Good Girl, I do think that is very self-explanatory, and it is a very popular trope. And I do think that because, TV shows such as The Vampire Diaries, which I love, have a bad boy, good girl trope, and a lot of books do that as well. A lot of things I've read is just like when he's a bad boy and she's like a good girl, but he has a secretly soft side. So I do believe that Bad Boy and Good Girl, in my opinion, is going to be elite. So I'm just, again, as we were getting into this video, I just want to quickly mention that all is my opinion. All said is in this video is just like personal, my biased opinion. And it is totally okay for you to dislike the things I like and to like different things that I don't like. So I'm just going to say this because a lot of people are maybe going to be mad at me because I have some tropes that are popular but are going to be like ranked lower, and tropes that are unpopular are going to be ranked higher, obviously. Some of them, I have a very unique and specific taste in the tropes that I enjoy, so it's just for me, so I just don't want anybody hating on me or like anything negative, because it's just my opinion. We are humans, we are allowed to have our own say in whatever we believe. So I just wanted to get this out of the way before anybody hates on me for ranking tropes or anything. It's it's not that deep. The next trope we have is fake dating, and fake dating is basically when the two characters, they need something from each other, right? Like they're in some sort of situation, they kind of agree to fake date, pretend that they're together, and obviously along the way they do catch feelings. So fake dating, in my opinion, is going to be elite, since I really enjoy this trope. Okay, let's see what else we have. I'm just going to kind of put them around and see. What else do we have? I want to mix up the tropes because I feel like, I've put them kind of together. So I want to like put them separately, a bit separately. If that's okay, yeah. Okay, let's go. Then there is accidental pregnancy. And this is a trope I can confidently say I actively avoid. It is just very unpleasant, in my opinion, to me, because if the woman is like pregnant or something, like how do you know whether the guy genuinely loves her, or is it just like for the sake of having a family and because she's pregnant? Like sometimes it can be really questionable, and I personally actively avoid it. I've seen some shows with it and I just feel like I don't like it, I don't enjoy it, so I try to avoid it as much as I can. Then we're going to forced proximity. And forced proximity is basically it is a very, very kind of common trope, I do believe, because it's something like, you know, the two characters are going to be, you know, they're going to be forced in some kind of way to spend time with each other, whatever the reason is, and it kind of brings them closer, especially if it's enemies to lovers or something like that. So I do think forced proximity is, in my opinion, elite, because I really like it. It's like a very huge trope, and it can be a huge part of the book, because it would make the two characters, for example, that hate each other, come closer with each other, like, you know, enjoy each other's company, obviously. Another thing I wanted to say is that this is completely inspired by the book queens themselves, the book Leo and Sarah Caroli. I will be linking down their channel in the description below, so you should check them out. And I'm just saying that they really inspired me trying to rank, because I thought of this, but I never actually had the courage to do it. But then when I saw them ranking book tropes, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I want to rank them. So I'm just, you know, getting this out of the way as well. Then we have bad girl, good boy. I think I enjoy this trope, but not as much as bad boy, good girl trope. So I think it's a very good trope. I mean, there were certain, like, in Choices, if you know Choices, I love Choices. It's basically like fan fiction, but interactive, and I really enjoy this trope. But I don't think it's that good to be elite, in my opinion. I do think that it's good. Like, it just hits right. You know what I mean? It's just like the perfect, cute story. Okay, now we have the teacher-student trope. In my opinion, this is, I don't know. It can be done right, and it can be done wrong. And let me explain. So, the thing is that teacher-student trope can be done where there's like a huge age gap and it's non-consensual. Like, you know, the student is very young and the teacher is taking advantage of the student, and that is like, you know, I don't like it. It's like a book ick and movie ick of mine, especially like a huge age gap, really bad. But if it's like, for example, let's go with Shadow and Bone trilogy. I haven't read the books, but do want to read the books. But let's talk about the series particularly. So it's Darkling and Alina, and Alina doesn't know how to use her powers, so Darkling basically mentors her. You know, he shows her how to use her powers. Same thing goes for the Legend of the Last Airbender, for Avatar and Katara, and for Aang and Katara. And she basically, like, kind of, sort of mentors him, you know what I mean? And it can be done well, but it can be done, like, really badly. So I think that this is going to be, this is definitely going to be a depends on execution. It cannot go otherwise, in my personal opinion, since I do believe that it can be done right and it can be done wrong. So that's what I'm trying to say. The next trope we have is secret crush. What do you think of this trope? So basically, secret crush is when one of the characters, right, in the couple, not in the couple, one of the main love interests, right, like, pines about the other, like, really has a crush and hasn't told the other of their feelings. It is most commonly, I've seen it most commonly used in friends to lovers, when one of the friends is, like, in love and the other is, like, totally oblivious to their interest. So I think that secret crush is good. I mean, it makes us, like, you know, this feeling when you're completely worried for one character and, like, you want them to get together, and yeah, that is sort of the secret crush. The secret crush trope can be found in the books that I read of secret crush trope. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a bit of a spoiler for the people that haven't read The Love Hypothesis, but I totally love this book. And this book has tropes like secret crush, and fake dating and grumpy sunshine. So enforced proximity is the backbone. Yeah, it is there. It is present. Like in the hindsight, it is present because they're fake dating. So I do really enjoy this trope. Now we have the single bed trope. What can I say about the single bed trope? It is elite. I do think it is elite. Since, I mean, think of it. There are two ways this trope can be developed, in my personal opinion. This can be developed either by the characters, having example, like a personal example of a show I've watched, melodrama show, soap opera. So I'm just gonna give you like an example, like immerse you into this experience. Two ways this can be personally, I think, done. So one is like the two characters are in a hotel and they've been on some work mission or something, right? They've been sent by work to do something. What happens is one of the character books the two room apartment, the room, two rooms obviously, and then basically they come into this hotel and it's like they find out there's only one room and one bed and the other isn't available, and the hotel has forgot to say this to the characters. It's a very convenient trope since like it kind of brings them closer together. So it's like either they're going to sleep in the same bed and then wake up in the morning in each other's embrace, something like that, something cute like that. Or it's gonna be something like the two of them are gonna look at the bed, both of them are going to think like, they hate each other, don't like each other, and they're gonna think like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing, and then they're gonna come up with some wacky plan. And the thing that is so funny is that they're both thinking this at the same time, and it's a very embarrassing and self-aware moment. So single bed trope is elite. I'm not very picky about my tropes. I know that people are going to say that, but I do genuinely feel like I am not picky about them. And if I enjoy it, if I really enjoy it and it works out for me, it's elite. The next trope we have is the bully romance. And here is where I'm going to say it depends on execution, definitely. In my personal opinion, bully romance can be as good like as enemies to lovers when one of them like lighthearted, kind of teasing each other, or it can be done like outright harassment, like literally harassment. And I don't condone that. I mean, like, you can enjoy that, right? Obviously there's nothing wrong with enjoying that, even though that you wouldn't accept the situation in real life. But I do feel like it depends on execution, because sometimes it's just like the love interest is like literally so mean to the other person, or the other person to the love interest. I mean, they're both love interests, right? Sorry, I'm getting lost in thoughts. But sometimes one of the characters can be like outright harassing the one, and the other character being like very, very mean and rude. And I don't think in their shoes I would ever, like that. It's like, especially if you're like being sexist to the other character or being misogynistic in some way. So I don't think I like that. So it basically depends on execution. That's what I'm trying to say, is that sometimes it could be very rude and very off-putting. Like literally it would make personally me like run 10 miles from that character and not like that character. So it depends on execution. The next thing we have is instant love. What do we think of instant love? I think it depends on execution, obviously, because it can sometimes be done very badly, in a sense that the way the characters fall in love doesn't seem realistic. I know, obviously, no, I'm not gonna say instant love can be realistic sometimes, and I don't like if it's not too realistic. I mean, if it's like Disney princess level, in my opinion, it's good, because you kind of understand, or the story makes on sense later, and you obviously are at first charmed by their appearance, or like their appearance is attracting the person. But instant love can be really badly done, where there is no reliability and no belief whatsoever in the relationships. So instant love depends on execution. Next, we have enemies to lovers. And enemies to lovers, let's just be honest for a second, it is elite. it is honestly one of the most classical. I know it can be really overused depending on the situations, and sometimes they're not even enemies or something, you know, but like sometimes they just have like a certain dislike to each other, but they cannot be called enemies. Like enemies is such a big word, but sometimes, I don't know, this trope just hits just like perfectly. It does depend on execution. I mean, all of these tropes can be done badly if the person, the author, the director does it, or the writer does it badly. But I do think Enemies to Lovers is a definitely big hit, and I'm going to say it's elite because I personally really enjoy it. So, you know, let's just leave it at that. The next thing we have is Tending to Wounds, and this is going to be very, very cute. I mean, it can be done cheesily, but it's really not. So one of the characters basically gets hurt in this trope, and the other character kind of takes care of them, you know, really takes care of them, like really shows that they care. Yeah, I mean, like something bad happens and they're like there to heal them or something. I don't remember. Oh, okay. So Tending to Wounds is a trope that I found in Tangled, in Rapunzel and Flynn Rider's relationship. I mean, do not tell me that she hasn't been tending to his wounds. So this is another trope that is elite. I mean, there were some pretty bigger examples than that. You know, what I'm trying to say is that when the Tending to Wounds trope has been done, like, or has been a big kind of moment, more significant than that, but it is still a hit trope. It is still an elite trope, in my opinion. We have slow burn. Slow burn is basically when they're like the two characters take time to fall in love with each other, and it's kind of very plausible, right? Is that the word for it? It can be very, you know, right? I'm just gonna just check for a second. Plausible. Yeah, so it's going to be very plausible, like realistic, reliable, you know what I mean? If it, you know, their love and their connection takes time to build, but sometimes it can be too slow, too boring, no tension, nothing, and you're just like waiting for the time when they finally get together. So slow burn is depends on execution, definitely. For me personally, I know there are a lot of people that really love this trope, but I feel like it has to be done right for me to love it, in order for me to love it. The next trope we have is I'll destroy those that hurt you trope. I'll destroy those that hurt you. Sometimes it can be like unrealistic in the sense that the person, you don't see their point of view and the person's just like cold, and then they kind of do that, and it doesn't make sense to me personally if I don't see their point of view. But sometimes it can be done right. I do believe it can be done right, you know, to make it more realistic and reasonable. I'll destroy those that hurt you trope. It is present in the Love Hypothesis. Yeah, I was just like thinking what book it is present in, and I really want to reread Love Hypothesis. I just really love this trope, but it depends on execution, because sometimes it can be just like you know, it can be very not well done. Like, you know, you won't believe it because you don't know they're kind of, you know, it's just done there for the sake of doing it, for the sake of showing that the other characters likes another character, so it's not believable. Yeah, it lacks that. So I'm just gonna say depends on execution. Right person, wrong time. This can be seen in the movie. The movie that it comes to my head is La La Land. Like, these two main characters were made for each other, but obviously they're, you know, it's a wrong time in their career and all that. So, you know, I think right person, wrong time. I'm not a fan of it, but I will read or watch it. Though sometimes it just makes me really cry and very, very sad. And you could, because you know what makes me sad about this trope is that you could see the potential, but they kind of don't go forward with it. So that makes me outright sad and really kind of crying mood. Love triangle. This is a very hated trope. This is a lot of trope that pisses a lot of readers and, viewers, but it is a good trope to bring in the drama, bring in the tension. It is amazing. It is elite in my opinion. I love everything with love triangles, especially when it's like the two guys fight for a girl sort of thing, my personal opinion, and it's like a indulgence of mine to read it or to watch something with it. Like The Vampire Diaries comes to my head immediately when you think of a love triangle. Damon, Stefan, and Alina, like that's love triangle, and I was always rooting for Damon, just, I really love him so much. So I do think that a love triangle is an amazing trope. Single parent trope is the next trope we have. What do I think of single parent trope? I think it's just good. I really like, there's some people that don't like kids in books, like when there's like somebody's a parent and they have the children and they think they're annoying, but I personally really like children in books. It's not an ick of mine, I really enjoy it, so I'm going to say it's good, especially like when the woman has the child, or like a single dad trope, and they have, like, for example, Enchanted is a single parent trope. So basically Edward has his daughter and Giselle kind of swoops in and she loves him and she also loves his daughter and she cares for her, and there's like this connection, bonding between the two. So single parent trope is good. It is really good. What more is there to add? Villain romance. Okay, this is the one I have a lot of problem with. Villain romance is, as far as I understood and read all this kind of topics online about research, you can call it research. Villain romance trope is when the villain falls in love with a hero, and sometimes it can be, a red flag. It can be like Catwoman, sorry, oh my gosh, it's just like very late and I'm trying to record this and, okay, so, it can be like Catwoman and Batman sort of vibe, or it can be like, Darkling and Alina. There are a lot of, there is Zuko and Katara. I was voting for that trope, the Fire Prince and then Katara. I was voting for them to be together, but sadly she chose the wrong person, in my opinion. So I do think the villain romance can be done well, and it can be done with an obsession, where the villain has an obsession over the hero, and I don't enjoy it. So I'm going to say villain romance does depend on execution. Friends to lovers is going to be a good one. I enjoy it, but I would pick other tropes over it sometimes. But it's very cute when they're like two friends and they have a bonding and but I do think it's very believable because the two of them have does have plausibility, since they're friends and then they kind of turn to something more and they knew each other the whole life, and then that is good. Yes. Then we have drunken confession, and drunken confession is when one person gets drunk and kind of, they're very conservative kind of in their feelings. They're not telling anything. And then they open up freely when they get drunk. So drunken confession is good. Yeah, nothing more to add. Sometimes it brings out kind of, because I've read somebody said that, a honest, a sober man is somebody I don't know, it's somebody wrote about a fiction review or something, like a book review or something, so don't take it personally, but they said that the person is kind of conservative, closed up, right? And then when the person is drunken, they're kind of silly and they're being open and honest because they really aren't realizing the gravity of their confession to the other character. So drunken confession is good. Then we have bodyguard romance, and I'm not a fan of it, but I will read it. I don't feel like I'm such a huge fan. It doesn't impact, sometimes it can be, like, sometimes I could avoid books that have bodyguard romance, and it's not my favorite trope, but I will read it, obviously, but it's not my favorite trope. I don't think I like it as much as other people do. Workplace romance. What do we think of workplace romance? It is good. I mean, the two of them are working in the same environment, so is close proximity. Not close proximity, forced proximity, and it's it's good. I mean, I like the tension. Like, the Hating Game has a workplace romance, and it also has like enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers. They're not enemies. I mean, they could be considered enemies, but I do think that they're rivals because they're going for the same job and competing for the same job offers. So it can be both, actually, because there are enemies. I haven't read the book yet, but I have it in my physical TBR, but I have watched the movie. So, I think that workplace romance is good. Nothing more to add. It's simply interesting. Mutual pining. What do we think of mutual pining? So mutual pining, if you don't know, it's when the two characters are secretly in love with each other, and not, the other one always thinks that so it's like, for example, because I have to explain this before ranking it, it's when one character is in love with the other character, and they think that other character doesn't love them. So if I'm going to basically say this simply, it's like, example, right off the bat, a girl, and then she has this friend or somebody else in her class, anything, workplace romance, anything. So they two like each other, but she doesn't know that he loves her, and he doesn't know that she likes him. Something like that. It's also common in sports romance that I've read. It's quite common when, they're mutually pining about each other. So I think it is good. Yeah, it is definitely a good one. Some people say it's frustrating because they kind of, like, get together already. Like, how could you not tell? But it's just because we're seeing their point of view, and obviously in real life that's what you'd experience. That confusion, and because people are, like, very scared of opening about their feelings and being honest and vulnerable, since they could be easily hurt, and everyone is probably very scared of rejection. So mutual pining is a very good trope. The next thing we have is friends to enemies to lovers, which is definitely an elite trope. Yes, I'm going to say that. I can't come off with examples right off the bat, but if it was like friends, and then they become enemies, they have a falling off, right? They hate each other, and then they become kind of lovers because they kind of love each other. So it's a really elite trope. I have read it somewhere in Choices. Don't remember where though, and also the fan fiction I've been reading on Wattpad has this. So it's an elite trope in my opinion. It's an amazing trope. We then have rivals to lovers. Rivals to lovers is an elite trope. I especially love it. Like, if you have seen Never Have I Ever, which I'm so excited for the fourth season, like, really excited. And rivals to lovers is basically, especially in academia setting, it is amazing. So one difference between enemies to lovers and rivals to lovers is enemies are on the polar opposite ends. So they're against each other, whatever it is, they're on opposite sides, whether political or whatever it is. And rivals to lovers, they're on the same side, same team, with kind of working in some team or like a certain workplace, and they are kind of competing against each other. So rivals to lovers is an elite trope, especially in academia. I personally love it so much, like, really, really enjoy it. The next trope we have is I hate everyone in the world but you. It can be, I think this is the trope that can make the a character feel very special since they're getting that special treatment, but it can also be a trope where they're actually rude and, you know, horrible to others. So I think, but I do think that it brings out the special factor of, like, you know, you're special, and others, especially if it's for example, in Love Hypothesis, it's like Adam Carlson. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but I'm just gonna say spoiler warning in case, just like fast forward a bit if you haven't read Love Hypothesis. So Adam Carlson kind of secretly crushes on Olive, and what happens is he is rude to everybody, right? Kind of has very high standards of everyone, and then he's actually like a sweetheart to Olive. So it's basically represents I hate everyone in the world but you trope. So I think it's going to be good. I cannot add anything else. It's just really, really, really good. I feel like it's a trope that deserves more, like, kind of, you know, but it just brings out the special, you know, what the person means to the other character. It is like a very good trope in the sense that, you know, it can demonstrate how, you know, how in love they are with the other character. So, you know, that's my opinion on it. One of us is famous trope. One of us is famous depends on execution, because sometimes it can be like a very bad power dynamic in my opinion, but sometimes it can be done very well. Like one person is famous and the other love interest is not. The movie that I think has it, okay. The movie that I could think right off the bat is Marry Me, is when it's a movie with Jennifer Lawrence and, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Jennifer Lopez. I'm not confusing them, it's just like my brain is not working after studying biology for like the whole day, so, you know, forgive me for that. But it's a movie with Jennifer Lopez where she's basically like a movie star. No, she's basically a singer. Yeah, she's basically a singer, and this guy's a teacher. She has been kind of cheated on, and she, out of this anxiety for like being left at the altar, right, being married in like live, and, you know, her fiance's cheating videos everywhere, she decided to marry this teacher who was holding a poster, "Marry Me," and she literally married him. So it is One of Us is famous trope, and it's so cute. So I would say it is depending on execution, because it can be done well, but then One of Us is famous can also be done badly if it's like an altered and a weird power dynamic where it's literally toxic, in my opinion. Age gap is also depending on execution, and I'll explain why. Sometimes it's very cute, right? They have like a certain difference, right, whatever it is, but sometimes it can be like when they put very young girls into this trope, it is, in my opinion, like literally it's an ick of mine. You know, if a girl is 18 and the guy is like 40 or something, like, literally, are you serious? You know what I mean? It is. I think this trope is present in The Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I don't like it. I think it depends on execution, because age gap can be like Lena and Darkling level, where they're not so far apart, or The Love Hypothesis, again bringing it up because I want to reread the book. Daisy Jones and the Six, does it have this trope of age gap? It has an age gap, but not significant. It's not like significant to the whole story, like super out of this world. So I'm just going to say age gap depends on execution, because, as I said, sometimes it's just like downright creepy. Forbidden Love. What do I think of Forbidden Love? I'm trying to kind of put my thoughts around Forbidden Love. So Forbidden Love, sometimes I do think it can be very forbidden, like really bad, something with age gap or probably something else, but sometimes it can be like Romeo and Juliet-esque level. It can be very cute, you know, like the two of them are polar enemies and their families are polar enemies, or like whatever, their kingdoms are polar enemies, and they kind of are forbidden to love each other, but they do. So forbidden love depends on execution, because sometimes, as the cat said, it can be related or in relationship to the age gap trope, and I don't like that, personally. Grumpiest sunshine. Grumpiest sunshine depends on execution. Sometimes it can be amazing. I mean, usually it's always the male that's grumpy and the female that is sunshine. Or it can be that, rarely that I've seen, woman is grumpy and the male, the man is sunshine. So I think it can get a little repetitive, if I'm being honest. But it's a classic trope. Like, you know, it's sometimes like the girl kind of usually shows the guy that, you know, there's happiness and like something in life worth living for. So it depends on execution. But I love this trope, but it depends on execution. I'm gonna give it that. Second chance romance. Second chance romance depends on what the person did. So I would say depends on the execution. For example, there can be where the person has intensely hurt and just like literally broken the main character in some sort of way. So I sometimes, when I like watch something with second chance romance, I feel like the person doesn't deserve the second chance, because what they've done is, you know, like the damage they've done cannot be I think that actually, sorry, the damage they've done can be horrible. Like literally, you cannot say sorry for such things, you know, it won't work. But sometimes it can be done well. So I'm going to put it depends on execution, you know, because it is something that can literally depend on the way the author, writer, director, whatever does it, so, and presents it. So second chance romance is depending on execution. The next one we have is Soulmates Faded, and I could say that this I'm not a fan of, because usually I like the tension and somebody like really falling into each other, rather than, you know, the stars have said that, you know, we're bound to be together. So not a fan of this, but I will read it. I'll give you that. I don't avoid it. It's fine, but it's like, you know, meh, in my personal opinion. But there can be some good things with this trope, but usually do not prefer it. Brother's best friend. It depends on execution. Sometimes it can just be like unplausible and unrealistic, and just doing it for the sake of this trope. But sometimes it can be done well. Yeah, I do think. But it just does bring the drama to the book or the movie, so I would give it that. Then we have the alpha hero, and I actively avoid this trope, since I do not like this trope at all. It's when the guy is like very toxic masculinity, outright, just like this hero, you know, it's basically just like toxic, in my opinion. And I don't like it, because it's not that just like in terms of feminism, it's just that in terms, this guy is like, you know, I'm gonna save all your problems, I'm gonna deal with that. I'm like, man, I don't know. Actively avoid. Personal opinion, as I said again. Cheating trope. This is a red flag, and I just think I actively avoid this. I don't like it, and I don't think cheating should be forgiven, in my personal opinion. But it depends on the situation, as I said, so I still don't like this trope. Yes, I mean, there are times when I've watched cheating trope in movies or shows, or like read about it, and I was actually like rooting for the characters to come back together. But most of the time it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth, like literally a bad sense about the character, and I kind of always view the character as the cheater, so as somebody who you shouldn't be trusted. So that is it for this video.
And thank you guys so much for watching this video, supporting me, and I'll see you in the next video very, very soon.